Welcome to DAPs Magic Reports. I'm Mr. DAPs.
I'm Katie.
And I am Cameron for once.
And this is our very spoiler-filled, spoilery, spoiled, spoil. If you don't want to know anything about Star Wars The Last Jedi,
we're going to talk about
stop it now because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. In fact, we're going to start this show, episode, whatever, with the number one spoiler. I'm going to count to 3.
Can we give them a few seconds to shut off the video if you've not seen?
Click out of YouTube, go to something else. Go watch one of our other videos because
Spoilers.
This has many Star Wars spoilers in it.
Spoilers.
We're not kidding.
Lots of
We're
spoilers.
We're not kidding.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Biggest spoiler.
Okay.
On the count of 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Guys!
guys!
All right, so that was fun. That was great.
Okay.
Did you actually give spoilers? Because I couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I heard what
Okay.
you said.
I know mine was a spoiler.
Mine
That
was a spoiler.
What was yours?
Luke.
What was yours?
Yoda.
Chewbacca. Cool.
Okay, so we hit all the main old ones. Let's just start from the beginning. We just saw Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It's 1:43 in the morning because that's when you start filming these things. Because we are brilliant. We didn't work all day at all today. No,
I didn't.
You didn't, but we did. First off, what do you think of the movie?
I thought it was very well done.
Oh, I thought it was well done too.
So well done. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find yourself loving it but wishing there was more?
Yeah, I loved it, but I do have problems with it.
Okay.
Same on par with my enjoyment after leaving episode 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you like about it first?
I think they made good, bold decisions that I was not expecting them to actually have the guts to do.
Okay.
I just think they handled the characters incredibly well, and I like the way the story is going.
I would agree with that. All of the characters grew or moved somewhere along into the story that furthered it along in a way that made sense and added depth to the entire Star Wars saga, Skywalker saga thing. What did you think they missed on? Or what did you dislike?
They hammered in some moments too much to the point that it felt like they were being a dead horse by overspelling things.
I would have to agree with that. It was almost prequel level of, let me explain this to you because you obviously don't understand implications.
Well, and there was a few of those moments where it was not even, let me explain this to you, let me explain it and then re-explain it. And while I'm explaining it, let me explain it some more to you.
Yeah.
And then what I'm explaining is happening.
Yes.
And I thought that was a little bit overdone as well. What were some of your favorite parts of this film?
There's one moment for me.
Go ahead. Since it came up right away, clearly the moment I asked the question.
The moment for me, and
remember, we're talking about spoilers here.
Spoilers!
When Luke walks out of the thing on Crate.
Yes,
and
yes.
They hit him with everything they got, and he brushes off his shoulder. It was so stupid, but there was just like guttural noise that came out of it. Oh, that's good.
But it was also one of those moments that everybody's gonna remember.
Oh yeah.
Like, because it was one of those iconic moments that's gonna go down probably for this film as one of the moments of the film. I actually thought one of the other big moments of the film that was, I think, supposed to be really powerful, but also ended up being humorous just because of the theater we were in, was the way that spoilers, they fought back against Snoke's ship and ended up beating said ship was very poignant, I guess would be a good way. And they do this, and there's a complete silence once this attack happens.
Oh, yeah.
And the room is completely dead silent. And then somebody dropped an expletive, and the whole room just...
It was so good, though.
And then you just hear this little giggle rap.
I mean, we were all thinking it, but it was just like somebody just verbalized it.
And it was about a character like Admiral Dern that you didn't really know if you liked her or you hated her. But then in the end, you had to like her.
I really liked Dern by the end of that. And
I did
one of
too.
my big fears going into this movie.
Me too.
Because I liked that actress. I did not see her in this film.
Well, and I didn't know if what they were setting up for her would actually pay off, because it didn't feel like it was going to pay off. And then they made it pay off, and that was pretty awesome. And in the bigger context of how she related to Poe and how Poe related to Leia, and that all ended up paying off, I thought, fairly well. Again, I thought it was over communicated, but that was good. Speaking of Leia, what did you think of the role of Leia for this film?
I was just about to ask, do I get to say a big moment? But now that we're transitioning to Leia,
Do you want to say a big moment first?
Now, if we're talking about Leia, it's gonna connect anyway.
We can return.
You don't have strong feelings about Leia either way.
I don't have any strong feelings about Leia. She is definitely not my favorite Star Wars character at all.
No, because you like the porgs.
Porgs are dumb. Side tangent.
They were amazing.
What did they do? Please?
They nourish Chewbacca.
They even fly.
I don't care.
That was. There's no reason those things should fly. Those things should not be able to
But
fly.
that was amazing.
So everyone's walking out like, oh, I love porgs so much. And I'm like, okay, whatever. They're cute. You guys got me to admit that. But they're dumb.
Anyway,
Leia. One of my favorite moments of the film, and I feel so bad that you were sitting next to me, was the Luke and Leia scene where they sat down and they talked and he gave her Han's things, and I was sobbing. Like,
oh yeah, she was. It was
control.
pretty loud. I'm sure you could hear it, right?
I know you could.
I'm sure the whole theater could hear it because you couldn't tell if she was sobbing or if she was laughing, and so it was that really awkward, like, you know,
I was a wreck.
Yeah, but when people can't tell if you're crying or if you're laughing, that's a problem.
I was sniffling and I couldn't breathe.
Anyway, Leia.
So I just picked up on something, actually. You mentioning that Luke drops the tchotchke that was, by the way, this was the tchotchke story, a Star Wars story.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
But he gave that to Leia.
How many people do you think are going to go buy that tomorrow?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
duh.
But I just caught something. She keeps repeating that she knows. I think she knew that he was a projection because when Kylo comes in, he picks it up off the ground as it fades because it wasn't real.
Yeah.
She left that. She knew it wasn't real, which
yeah.
I just caught that. And that makes me happy.
Good little moment to watch for. What do you think of her overarching story, Cameron?
I think they're handling it with pretty good grace. I don't feel like they're pulling any punches because of her passing. However, I mean, a couple things felt. There's a specific moment with her like flying through space of a fake death that was really heavy-handed. You could tell that was completely dictated by the fact that the actress had died.
Do you know what I thought the first moment that happened?
That they were going to do it?
No, Wrath of Khan. I literally, the moment that happened, I was like, oh, this is the Spock moment. And it was almost overplayed for me. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, are we back? I'm not allowed to know about the movies or anything.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you. But I was mad at that, and then I was mad that she was in like cryostasis or whatever that was for a good like 45 minutes.
I was surprised she wasn't in a Bacta tank.
Yeah, I had that brief thought, but I'm glad.
Or at least like the Bacta suit, because I assume that's what Finn was in at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, that's true. Although, can I just say that Leia earns her street cred card again, because what's the first thing she does after she wakes up? She goes and shoots Poe.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Well, and she's still in like dressings and everything.
Yeah.
Like she has all this stuff.
Where'd she even get a gun? Like,
like
where does she ever get a gun? She always seems to have
someone has
these
to
things.
save our
Give me the
skin.
gun.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, she even had her little gun in the original movie that, which I actually thought that was her best moment in this movie, was the harken back to the original movie with Luke. And I really loved how, like, R2-D2 really had hardly any role in this film, which was okay.
Same as the Force Awakens.
I think that's a good choice.
It is,
Yeah.
and I would assume we'll see less and less of him moving forward.
Yeah.
But I loved how they did use him, and that was a really good. I think that was one of the best choices in the film. I don't know what you think. Let's talk about Luke a little bit. Luke is a grumpy old hermit. And hilarious. Like, he's exactly what you would expect from what he's been through.
Yeah.
Like, for me, everything his character did made sense.
Yeah. Except for one thing that made me impossibly uncomfortable. The milk.
Oh,
that was the worst choice. That was the worst choice.
No, you know what was the worst choice? When the like creature thing turns and like stared right in the eyes. I was like, oh.
But here's the thing: is I thought that was a bad choice, but it didn't seem uncharacteristic for a hermit.
No, and I kind of get why they did it.
And having grown up in northern Minnesota, it was kind of like, well, of course he's gonna go get his blue milk.
Yeah,
like it was a little bit too gimmicky to me.
I felt like it was Ryan Johnson looking at the camera and saying, "Look what I'm getting away with." Like that. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, I thought it was that, and like let's do a little bit of a reveal for where things like it was. We don't need to know where blue milk comes from.
It was gross.
It was
really gross.
It was weird.
Well, and then he has like
in
his beard, and I was like,
well, yeah. I mean, it was kind of almost the older brother. Like, I'm trying to gross you out a little bit, but
yes.
Yeah, that might have been their worst choice, but I didn't feel like it was uncharacteristic of Luke for everything he'd been doing up to
No, he was a gross hermit, and that conveyed that very well.
No, it totally makes sense. It was just weird.
So, what about his character arc? What'd you think of that for the movie?
I thought it was interesting.
So you didn't like it?
I did. I did. There's just a lot going on there, and I'm still processing because it's also 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
I think I agree that processing is necessary. It's certainly the most convoluted of the character growths, but it also has the most weight behind it. And I do think they did an excellent job of navigating that because that's where the most could have gone wrong. I
was gonna say this had the potential. I was thinking about it. This could have been Anakin in Revenge of the Sith,
definitely.
And it came off as like I didn't have that like I have to suspend disbelief about him. There were other things where I was kind of like wait a minute, but for his storyline, like how it progressed, I was like okay, that makes sense, and I could see him doing that, and the way he played it, like if he'd have played it differently, it wouldn't have worked. But the fact that he nailed the grumpy, quirky old hermit, and he really did go through all of the emotions he went through in the film to reach where he reached as really the Luke that we all wanted him to be. I thought he ended it, like I thought he grew throughout the movie in the right way for what this movie needed to do, and it ended in the right way for how you needed that character to end. And, well, for where it is. And, yeah.
I keep catching little things as we're talking about
Yes.
them. I don't think Luke had footprints when he walked out of the thing. I just realized that.
He didn't. In fact,
so good.
I remember thinking it was funny because when the other guy stepped up onto, like the nameless dude with a beard at the beginning of the battle steps up onto the sand of Crate, and the guy tastes it because he's like red. Oh, it's salt. I was like, oh, they had to have shown that for a reason.
Yeah.
Like it was too in your face.
But that speaks more to something I think they did very well sometimes and very poorly other times, which is some of the things where some things they were completely in your face, over explained. Some of the things they were so subtle with that I almost missed a lot of them, and I think those are the most beautiful moments. Specifically two come to mind: the books which Rey has tucked away, which I loved.
Which they don't even like, they're there, but they don't even really reference them.
But more important, and though this is the one that got me, I made a noise, was the kid moving the broom at the end.
Yeah.
My heart.
yeah, that was cute. That was a good moment.
Can we talk? It's bugging me, and I want to like get it off my chest. Kylo Ren and the Jedi Temple story.
The whodunit.
Yeah,
well, there's this whole.
It's the retelling of the story 3 different times.
The murder on the Jedi Express.
From 3 different points of view, which I loved, because throughout all of Star Wars, it's always been about point of view.
Oh yeah.
And I love the fact that that was actually one of the things they really didn't spell out for you, but they showed the different points of view, and I thought that was really cool.
The thing that I keep thinking about is that he's training to be a Jedi. He goes to the dark side.
Yep.
And he kills the younglings.
Yes. Just
he really, really wants to be Anakin. There's also something else. I can't remember what it was, but they referenced him like being there was none like him from a young age, and I was like, are we forgetting about Anakin? Like,
well, yeah, but
are
nobody was around then for that.
Yeah.
It does bring up an interesting point, though, that surprised me about this film that we didn't see. No Knights of Ren.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know that I missed them until just this very moment. Like, they referenced that he took away some of the students with him, but like they made kind of a big deal about it in the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Snoke even has a line about his Knights of Ren, doesn't he?
He does. I'm pretty
And
sure.
and then in this movie, it's like the other than a passing reference of, oh, he took some with him. Maybe they'll show up in the next movie. Like Knights of Ren just don't exist.
Well, I'm noticing some weapon wielding similarities between the Knights of Ren and the Red Guard for Snoke.
Oh, do you
Yeah.
think those
That
were
was
them?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
So they're no longer knights. They're floor ornaments.
Yes, ornaments.
Ornaments.
It kept there were certain parts of the movie, multiple parts of the movie, in battle scenes. Anytime there was melee combat, it felt like they were trying to repeat the traitor. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they pulled that
Stormtrooper.
one out a lot.
Yeah, they kept trying to be like, look, we can do cool things. I'm like,
Well, I think that brings
no.
up a next thing that'd be interesting to talk about is Phasma. We saw a little bit more of Phasma in this this movie, and we saw how she progresses as a battle person, battle stormtrooper. I don't know what
Star
storm
Wars
commander.
Battlefront.
What did you think of Phasma's role in this film?
It was fleshed out a bit more with
I
her
will admit,
backstory.
I'm with Katie. I kind of went, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
I
she
was
was-
hoping she would.
She was the most underwhelming main character to me in all of them.
If they had done more, I would have cared when her helmet breaks and you see her eye and
Mhm.
like she has that whole moment with Finn. Like I would have cared more, but I literally was like, okay, are you gonna die now? Are you
Well,
done?
That is a reference to. So they're really trying to push their building EU. I'm not
Yeah.
defending
Oh,
this.
no.
Actually, I think it was a terrible decision in general. I'm very disappointed with how they handled it in the end.
Yeah.
However, her big thing is that she never actually shows herself
Yeah.
to her troops, and that's something they go into in the books and all that. I think that was just a nod for people who are really into that kind of thing. But like, if it's not going to pay off for 90% of your audience, why do
Well,
it?
and
Well, that do it well so that it doesn't matter if it pays off or
Yeah.
not.
yeah, exactly. It just I didn't care. I was just waiting for her to be done.
The
Yeah, it
only
was too.
positive I will give her is that they gave her a reason for the chrome armor. It was intentional to reflect laser blasts, and they showed it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, okay, design choice. I get it. That's a good choice.
Rose. What do we think of Rose? She was the new character that was charming everybody at the world
adorable.
premiere and quickly became, I think, a new favorite actress, at least for many people.
Mm.
What do you think of her character?
I liked her. I didn't like the end. And you saw me shaking my head because I was not pleased. She kissed Finn, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And like literally all of the end of The Force Awakens, first time I saw it in theaters, I was like, "Don't make this love story. Don't make it into that." And that's not what they made this into. Like it was.
Well, it's going to turn out they're actually twin brothers and sisters in the next movie.
He's my brother.
I know. I don't think they do that twice.
Hey, you never know.
Now, see, I don't have a problem with the romantic relationship.
Oh, I do.
there.
I actually thought that one worked. I agree with Cameron.
I saw it coming. I don't like romance. I mean, if I'm getting myself into a romance, I'm like, cool. But not in Star Wars. I mean, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
I feel like for Finn's character, he needs love and companionship.
He needs an attachment.
He does, because that comes from him being a trooper and being rejected all these things for a long time.
Yeah.
I think he needed that. He was finding it in Poe. He was really trying for it in Rey, and obviously that wasn't working.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that they needed to have that character development to not make him needy and annoying by the end of 9.
That's true.
Had they left Rose out of the picture as far as relationship, he would have just been pining after Rey, and he would have gotten real whiny real quick.
And it would have gotten obnoxious
Yeah.
so quickly. Let's move to the dark side, or the First Order side
Already
of
there.
things. Of course
No,
you
you
are. Let's start off with Kylo Ren. What do you think of his story and his everything?
On a shirt.
Well, yes, he should never have taken his shirt off. I
mean,
immediately, not to steal from Star Trek again, but I immediately started thinking of Captain Kirk in the original series.
he
Where
takes
it's like,
his shirt off for no reason.
let's just do this for no reason because maybe somebody
was-
will like it. I
It
don't
was
know.
kind of like a ladies.
Also, his pants were very high.
Yeah, they were like up to here.
And they were like rubbery, plasticky weirdness. Like
it was.
What was he doing just before that caused him to be in that situation?
Working out.
I don't know.
Pants.
I don't know if you heard me. I just hit over 1,000.
1,000 what? Mm-hmm.
And they were so high you couldn't even see like the abs they were trying to show off. So I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
It's like they used the actual costume pants for his main outfit.
Just take off the shirt.
They did.
And didn't really think like, hey, maybe we should have a separate pair of pants that will look more natural. Like, I don't know. Anyway, what do you think of the progression of his character in this film?
I was really. That was not the way I was expecting it to go.
I liked that.
That's the good praise.
Yeah, and I like to be caught off guard. And I like...
He ended up where I wanted him to end up, and I didn't know how they were going to get him there, which is what I really liked about it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
What do you think, Cameron?
He was erratic, which I think was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of his choices felt a little weird to get to them.
In particular?
Well, this goes back to spelling things out. The whole killing Snoke thing took too long. The explanation was ridiculous.
Yep.
I think it was a good choice. I think that if they'd done it in 5 seconds instead of a minute, it would have been...
Completely agree.
Oh, yeah,
it would have been much more impactful. I like the sides of Kylo that we got to see out of this, specifically some of the humanity in him, which you see through some of like the humorous pacing when they're having the conversations on separate planets. Great choices in that he is now a person and not just a faceless character.
Well, it seemed like he figured out who he was through this movie.
I will agree with the Snoke thing. I think that should have been something where he killed Snoke and it happened so fast the audience didn't have time to process it. But instead, they spelled it out for us. We saw it coming, and then Snoke died. And yeah, Snoke dying was like...
Well, how stupid do they think we all are that we can't figure it out? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just...
That was a moment that I felt like really almost played down to, or talked down to in some ways.
It should have happened so quickly. But one of my favorite Kylo moments was after him and Rey kill all the red trooper things. And then he's like, come with me. He's like, it's all over. It's not you versus me. It's not Sith versus Jedi. It's like, everything's done and come with me. And like, that was just one of my favorite Kylo Ren moments.
A bad guy that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous kind of bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And she still got away.
Yeah. And she went, no, don't do this.
No, stop it, no.
I think one of my favorite parts about that was she still took the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty cool. Both halves.
Well, they had to show the Kyber crystal in it.
Yeah.
That was like, look at.
Do you guys remember these?
Yep, that's true.
Remember this?
That was pretty cool. What do you think of General Hux?
I love hating him, and that's probably a good thing.
He's perfect for who he is.
He's the whiny baby, really. I mean,
like, you have the urge to just hate him in general, like oh, I didn't like him or whatever. But he is so good at being that, just pulling that hatred. That
he's that sniveling manager that everybody hates, but he sucks up really good to the boss. So which
means he's a great actor. That's exactly what that means.
You know what I was thinking about too is he should be very thankful for the First Order, because he would have lasted about 2 seconds in the Empire.
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that kind of, I mean, it shows the lack of leadership, I feel like, in the First Order. Because in the Empire, like, Darth Vader would have killed him the first time, not like
he would have choked him.
It was so satisfying to see Hux slammed into the ground by Snoke.
That was pretty funny.
Like, as soon as his head was there, just
yeah,
so good.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the First Order really is more about puppetry, whereas the Empire was about results. Which I hadn't thought of that till just now. But if you didn't succeed in the Empire, you're dead. If you don't succeed in the First Order, you're just intimidated that much more, or threatened that much more, so that you can be manipulated that much more, which is interesting. It's an interesting change from the Emperor to Snoke. Very quickly, what'd you think of Snoke?
Great choice to kill him.
Yeah,
I thought he was lame.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's
He was. I think if I were gonna have a disappointment in the movie, he probably was it.
Better off dead.
I think that was so intentional though, making him just. I mean, he was so obviously OP, way too overpowered, whiny, just bad character fleshing, just everything was terrible about him, which made it so much more satisfying that they actually had the guts to kill him.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
I like the Emperor better.
Well, of course.
Yeah, he was a much more interesting character. Music, what'd you think?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep.
John Williams. How are we gonna complain about that?
Exactly. Pacing?
The first quarter of the movie, I could not catch on.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was. It felt like
I'm
really,
still
really
trying to
hurried.
figure it out in my head because there was
Yeah.
some flashback and forth things going on, and I think part of it was just the way they were transitioning too was not what you are used to feeling for Star Wars.
No,
And they were telling just a lot of different stories at once in the beginning,
Yeah.
and they were trying to catch you up to speed. Like, here's
Yeah.
what's going on over here. Here's what's going on over here. Here's what's going on in the past.
It was
You're
almost
like,
the Pirates of the Caribbean problem.
Mhm.
classic.
Yeah, it caught up to itself. I think it took half the movie before it actually got to a good place. But yeah, first quarter of it, I was a little thrown off.
I wonder what changed that pulled it all together. What
I think production, like post production.
you just think it gelled?
I think like what changed to get it to that point.
Yeah.
I think honestly, they probably had a 3-hour cut of the movie, maybe 3:15. That was Rian Johnson's perfect story that had
More blue milk.
a lot more meat up at the front of the story. That was,
Oh, and that's just where they had to cut. More.
yeah, and so in post production, they went through and they're like, "Oh, you need to get the important stuff. What's the most marketable stuff that happens later? Therefore, cut the weight at the front."
And don't get rid of the porks.
Exactly.
What do we think of the porks?
Dumb.
They're a plot device.
They were dumb.
I thought they
And
were-
they can print money with them.
And they were hilarious.
I found them much more endearing than I was expecting to.
I did too. I actually kind of figured I would find them annoying.
The character that did do that was BB-9E. That was, look at the money we're putting on screen.
Oh, that was stupid.
Yeah, I
super stupid.
honestly don't know what
He was-
that was for.
He was in for 15 seconds so they could make a bunch of toys.
Literally, like they're selling $80 toys for BB-9E.
And that's
and
the on sale ones.
BB-9E.
You know what he did? He saw a box and he called Phasma.
Like, you know what makes me
He
happy?
was smarter than everybody else then.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Is that I have a BB-8 toy, but BB-8 did something,
Did
and
a lot of
BB-8's important, and BB-8 did so many good things in this movie. Can we talk about BB-8?
He was very good in this movie.
I was-
But yeah, let's talk really quickly. BB-8 and Poe.
BB-8 controlled the walker.
BB-8, I actually almost thought like BB-8 did a little bit too much because
no,
he kind of
never enough.
almost at one point he reminded me
Jordan
of an
Flynn.
Ewok because he was doing so many random things that just seemed.
Although smashing his head into the thing to complete
Yeah,
the circuit was
he's
cool.
now a Swiss Army knife.
It was amazing.
And Poe. What do we think of Poe? I realized I forgot him. We were talking about resistance people.
I did like the development they got with the character. They're obviously setting him up to be the new leader of the resistance.
Which,
Um,
prophetic or not, turned out it's
Yeah,
exactly
it's
what's going to be
become a
needed
necessary
in the
thing.
next movie.
yeah, so he's grown as a character a lot in a very good way. But he still has that like lingering taste of John Everyman. That is just I get it. I get why it's necessary. He's either going to survive to the end of 9 and just be a write-off character at the end, or he's going to be the take the big hit guy, and I'm not going to feel as emotionally attached as they probably want me to it.
Yeah, it's very possible. I kind of want him to be that MacArthur right off into the sunset guy.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen though.
I doubt it. Yeah. Well, yeah, especially. Yeah.
Mhm.
I really want to love Poe more than I do. I don't dislike him. I honestly like Poe as a character, but I wish that I loved Poe. And I just feel like he does something big and heroic, and I'm just not impressed by it. I'm just like, okay, whatever. You just killed literally all of your troops. For what?
Yeah.
And Leia was calling you off, and you
got smacked.
you got smacked and demoted.
Yeah, they did
Smacked,
some
then
interesting things
demoted.
with him.
Yeah.
I will say this though. I think the core of the problem, at least for me, is actually the pilots are my favorite Star Wars thing more than Jedi or anything. I
Mhm.
love the pilots. I think the reason I don't like Poe as much is because he's not faceless. Pilots for me in Star Wars are always the general person who could step up and fight for the Resistance or the Rebellion.
And now he's surpassed that.
Yes. But by giving him so much of a character and backstory, so it kind of takes away the anonymity that you can project yourself onto. I feel like if you are watching these films, more so than envisioning yourself as a Jedi or what have you, everybody can think themselves an X-Wing pilot.
That's true.
And you can't really do that with Poe.
Okay.
That's fair.
I will give that to you. So where do you think this one rates compared to other Star Wars movies? Final question.
Beats out the prequels.
Definite.
I think I'm going to put it just ahead of 7. I think Empire is still better.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know why people were...
Yeah, everybody's been saying better than Empire.
Everybody's like, it's better than Empire.
It's not better than Empire.
I'm like, is it? No.
I don't actually know.
Billy D wasn't in this.
That's my problem. I will say it's probably better just putting them all together. I think I liked it a little bit better than The New Hope.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'll still probably give Jedi the lead on that one too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's...
So you're saying it's the second best or third best movie?
Third. Yeah, I give third overall.
Okay.
Which is a high praise.
I want to put it a little below 7 right now. And that's just because I hold 7 so dear to me. Like, I literally have it on at my house all the time. And I randomly just go into quotes from it. So it's like, I really love Force Awakens. And maybe once I see this a lot, like, it'll get to the same place for me. But right now it's probably in second. And then it's Empire, Return of the Jedi. No, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, prequels. This is all get looped into one.
Prequels.
Prequels. They're there. What a plot twist would have been. I was like, well, number 1 is Phantom Menace. And then
that would get you comments. That would get you. Let us know what you think the new ratings for all Star Wars films should be from top to bottom. I'm still actually thinking it through. I'm thinking it's 3 or 4 for me. Like, it's down that far. And it's not because they did anything particularly wrong, but I think for sure Empire did some things a little bit more right. The Force Awakens did some things that I think are a little bit more right. And then I think the New Hope Jedi, the Return of the Jedi things are both really close too. And I kind of put those 3 all in the same general area.
Can I say the first thing that made me cry in this movie was the A New Hope callback where they played Leia's message. Like,
I thought that was a brilliant moment.
Yeah. Oh, that was so. That's not. And then he immediately goes, "That's not playing fair." And I was like, "Oh,
that was my favorite Leia moment."
Oh, definitely.
Well, actually, if I may ask the question, what moment got you the most? I'm curious.
What moment got me the most? Well, my heavy heaving sobs during the Luke and Leia scene, which was embarrassing. Honestly, what really surprised me is pretty much anytime there was a heavy Princess Leia scene, I was a mess. And normally I can hold things together pretty well. Like, Han Solo was my favorite characters ever, and I've cried when he died, but I was like, like I carried on. Carried.
There's like 5 different emotions.
But I thought like, I just love Princess Leia so much. And knowing that this was the last time it's so selfish to say this, but knowing it was the last time I really get to see Princess Leia on screen, it just hurt. And then the whole scene with Luke and Leia it was basically a foreshadowing for something that we didn't know was coming, because it was her basically saying, like, this is the end. And like, you know what, like, and when she was saying, like, you can say may the force be with you, I've said it enough times, and the in memory of our princess, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, and the piano behind it, that was very pretty.
Yeah, playing Leia's theme. I was not okay.
So you had like 8 favorite moments, you're saying?
Yeah, I just
since
I'm not saying favorite, I'm saying broke down.
Yes, for the number 1
was I had to go into everything because I really love Princess Leia.
Mhm.
But the absolute breakdown moment was the Luke and Leia scene, because I just kept thinking about how it was the end, and that was the last time they got to be brother and sister together. And I can't even talk about this. I'm getting real emotional. Anyway, that was the moment that got me real bad.
For me, it was a 3-step thing. It was the one that made me make a weird squeaky noise was seeing the back of Yoda's head.
Yeah.
Same.
So that was step 1.
That was awesome.
Step 2 was realizing it's a puppet.
Yeah.
And then step 3, hearing it being Frank Oz.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just like, oh no,
That was
they're
done.
doing all of it.
That was done right.
Yes,
Yeah, that was
that whole sequence was beautiful.
that was
yeah.
amazing. I mean, that was, you couldn't ask for, that was perfect.
What was
I think
the moment that got you?
it was either that moment because of Yoda, Frank Oz,
Yeah.
or it was the help me Obi-Wan Kenobi moment.
So
'Cause,
good.
As much as the moment with Luke and Leia in the same room together ish was beautiful, the R2, like going back to the very beginning, like that was just, you couldn't have, I think that was probably the most brilliant movie or moment in the movie. So
Definitely.
between that and Yoda, I was pretty darn close, which is interesting because they're both hearkening,
Yeah, well, that was going to say, the callbacks were tastefully done.
Oh, definitely.
which is so rare.
The
Seriously.
2 sons looking, the boy looking
Yeah.
out on the horizon thing was, that killed me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they were just like, they weren't subtle, but they were like not just driving in your face. The little callback things were so good.
Yeah, they did a very nice job with this movie. So what do you rate it?
2 thumbs.
2 thumbs, 2 thumbs, 2 thumbs. We'll be talking more about this on Geeks Corner Tuesday night
And for the next 2 years.
at 9:30, probably
True.
for the next 2
We'll
years
be
as
analyzing
well.
it for the next 2 years.
Exactly. And as we've seen this more and listened to the soundtracks more, I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say about this. But for now, we are going to call it a night. We wish you all very well. May the Force be with you. And we will see you later.